Okay, moving into lesson 4-7, we're on page 135, and I'm going to front load and introduce to you what we're going to be learning in this lesson, so please follow along closely. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at shifting with decimals, and basically we're going to be multiplying numbers in which all we have to do is move them a certain direction a certain amount of times in our place value chart, depending on what number we're multiplying it by. So these situations, if you look at page 135 and 136, they look familiar. And we did similar, were working with a similar situation and a similar strategy in a previous lesson. And that was when we were multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000. And we know that when we're multiplying by 10, 100, or 1000, we shift either, is it to the left or to the right? It's to the left. So our digits are getting larger. So we know to the left, when we're multiplying by 10, by 100, or by 1000, we can use our place value charts and just shift our numbers over depending on what we're multiplying by. How many place values do we move our digits if we're multiplying by 10? One place value. How many place values do we move our digits if we're multiplying by 100? Two place values. How many place values do we move our digits if we're multiplying by 1000? Three place values. So this is a review from previous lessons. So let's quickly do an example. Let's use the number 14. And let's just multiply 14 by 10. If we're multiplying 14 by 10, we're moving our digits again to the left. They're getting larger. How many place values for 10? One place value. So on the next line, let's shift them over one place value. The one in the tens is going to move to the hundreds. The 4 in the ones place value is going to move to the tens. And then we need to add in our zeros to hold place values until we reach the decimal. So there's going to be 0 ones to make our product be equal to 140. 14 times 10 is equal to 140. And we just used our place value chart and shifted the digits over just by one place value. Does that look familiar to you? Great, it should. We're going to do something similar, but working with now, instead of whole numbers, 10, 100, and 1000, we're going to be working with decimal numbers. And in this lesson, again, I'm going to front load it for you guys. Our digits, we're going to be multiplying by 1/10, 1/100th, and 1,000th. And I posted into this slide a picture of a color-coded place value chart. Again, each place value is always relating back to our ones. So for example, on the last row is money form. So we saw if we were to go from one $1 bill over to the tens is worth 10 $10 bills. Sorry, $10 bills. Our hundreds place value is worth $100 bills. But moving on over, where our decimal lands is in between the ones and the tenths. The tenths is represented by a dime here, or 0.1. The hundredths is represented by 100ths, and the thousands is represented by 1000ths, decimal form and fraction form. Okay, and we're going to always be relating this back to money. So let's start off with an easy peasy example, and let's talk about a $1 bill. So in your place value chart, place a 1 in the ones place value, and let's talk about if I were to take a tenth or a 100th of this dollar bill, what answer would we get? Okay, so let's say you have a $1 bill and you have a little sister who's always bugging you, and she says, can I have 1/10 of your dollar bill? Okay, so 1/10 of $1, that keyword of, if we're taking apart it, Of means to multiply. And 1/10 written as a decimal is 0.1. So go ahead and write that on the side. What's 1/10 of $1 bill? So we wouldn't tear our dollar bill into 10 pieces. Okay, so 1/10 again, as if I could even write it as fraction form. One piece out of 10 pieces is what we're looking for. I wouldn't tear it apart into 10 pieces and hand over one piece to your little sister and say, here's 1/10 of a dollar bill. We would have to exchange it for currency. To exchange a $1 bill into 10 parts, we use what currency, what coin? Well, it's on our place value chart here, dimes. How many dimes make up a dollar? 10 dimes. So we would exchange our $1 bill for 10 dimes, and out of those 10 dimes, one part of your 10 dimes, how many dimes would you give your little sister who's pestering you? 1 dime, okay? And 1 dime is worth in money form or in currency form is the 1 is going to be in the 10th spot, and you would say, here's your 1/10 of a dollar or 1 cent or, 1/10 of a dollar. 1 times 1/10 is equal to 1/10. Do you see what happened to the 1? The 1 went from the 1's place value to the 10ths. If we're multiplying a number by a decimal, our value is getting smaller. Okay, let's try it out with, thanks for following along. If you were following along with me, let's go ahead and let's just have that $1 bill be again. And let's say you have another sibling and your sibling saw that you gave away money to someone else and says, I want some of that dollar. And what if you say, okay, I'll bargain with you. I'll give you 1/100th of my dollar bill. So on the side, write out times 1/100th. 1/100th of a number, we're going to be multiplying. And let's talk about it in currency form. Would you rip up your $1 bill into pieces? No, you would exchange it. Well, what do we exchange a $1 bill for if we're looking for 1/100th of something? In fraction form, 1/100th is one piece out of a total of 100. Again, we wouldn't tear our $1 bill into 100 pieces and give away a little piece. We would exchange it for currency or coins. To exchange a $1 bill for 100 of something, what currency would we use? Pennies. We would exchange it for 100 pennies. And if you have all your 100 pennies laid out, then to give away one part of 100 pennies is you would give 1 penny away. And how do we write 1 penny in dollar form or 1 cent? Well, the 1 goes in the hundredths place value. The hundredths place value, always think of a penny or the cents. And then we fill it in with zeros in our 10th place and a 0 in our 1s. $1 bill or 1 times 100th is equal to 100th. What happened to our digits in this multiplication problem? Well, we had the digit 1. It went to the right. It got smaller in value. How many place values? 1, 2. I like to do those little hills to count over. So 1, 2 brings it to the hundreds place value, 2 place values. So I see some patterns going along here with our place value charts. When we're multiplying by 1/10th, 100th, or 1,000th, our values are getting smaller. We're taking a portion of our whole numbers. The digits are going to the right. 1 place value, 2 place values, and 3 place values. 1 place value for 1/10th, 2 place values for 100th, 3 place values for 1,000ths. And let's try it with this situation now, going along with Leon.